Welcome to the Voice of Seven Thunders, a podcast of the Church of God. We're your host. I'm Brother Ernest Benion Jr. To my right, we have the Honorable Brother Stephen Hargrave, and we are here live at the International Camp Meeting, West Milton, Ohio. This is our annual international meeting, and we have just been having a good time. We just got done with our evening service, a message brought by Apostle Elizabeth Opal. And her title was, "The Tabernacle of God is with Men." And Brother Steve, I just confessed to you this time, I didn't get any notes down, brother, because I was too enraptured, brother, with the preaching of the Word of God.
You were enraptured. Now, I did get some notes down in between shoutings and standings and raisings of hand. But then when we came to do the podcast, brother, I took my notes out. And I just don't know what to say about it. So I just put my notes back. I could read them, some of them, but I just don't know what to say about it. I don't know how long the sister preached, but I would think the last 30 minutes at least, everybody was on their feet, standing on their feet. Sir. Children, everybody,
running the aisles,
everybody,
shoutings,
everybody was on their feet.
Another divine manifestation of the Holy Ghost in our midst.
1,300 people on their feet, and brother,
I'll confess to you that before I'd like to read the text that she gave, but before we do that, I want to confess to you, I got to the point in rejoicing, I didn't know what else to do. I had my 2-year-old on my arms. I picked him up in the air. David danced mightily for the Lord.
Yes.
I didn't know what to do. I held my Bible up. I held my son up. I couldn't shout anymore. I was boxed in with people all around, so I couldn't run anywhere.
Yeah, there's limited space, but you do what you can. You raise a hand up or wiggle a leg, or you do what you can.
Do something to try to express the depth of the burden of what you feel. So, Sister Opal started in Revelation chapter 21. She read verses 1 through 7. I'll read the text, the principal text, verse 3. "And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God." You can join us on our website at www.churchofgod.net. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Or you can go to the Google Play Store or the iTunes App Store and download our Gospel Trumpet Radio app, where you can actually join our services here live via radio at 10:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, brother, why don't you give for us kind of the synopsis of what her burden was and why 1,300 people were on their feet for 30 minutes shouting, dancing in the aisles, children rejoicing.
Brother, in very brief, I would just have to say, as we've been saying, you just have to be here, and you just have to get the message.
Yes, sir.
But even getting the message, and it would be good. It'd be good to get the audio clip. We may have some video footage of some of it. But even with getting the message, just being here, you get so much more. The burden in brief, the tabernacle of God is with men. Sister Opal, Apostle Opal. And by the way, some people feel like that women cannot preach.
Be apostles or preach.
Can't preach. A woman can't be an apostle. I would only say to them, I'll be fair enough to say I understand in this age of aggression of women and gender confusion, I completely understand, and I would respect someone because there are passages where the Bible would seem to be saying that. So I definitely respect that. I think we would. However, if they would have been in the assembly tonight and saw this sister preach, they would have changed their mind with old Brother John Wesley, where he said, well, this sister just must be an exception. She, in fact, is not an exception, but God can call who he chooses. And the gifting is definitely there. But I'll say that she walked through, in brief, what the tabernacle was to the children of Israel.
Right.
And what the glory of God meant, what the mercy seat was, what the ark was. Took us all the way through the ark coming back, being brought back to Jerusalem, and David dancing. Talked about there being a holy dance. There's such a thing as a holy dance.
That's right.
If you're dancing for the right cause and dancing in the right spirit, there's such a thing as a holy dance. And she was speaking about how the glory of the tabernacle, or the presence of God, was there, and that was basically the heartbeat of Israel. That was basically their entire existence.
Right.
Even so much as when she took us through Samuel, where when one of the mothers found out that the ark was stolen, she named the child Ichabod, or the glory is departed. And she walked from there on up through to where the Lord on the cross said, "It is finished," or "It is done, it's accomplished." And the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom, and that the mercy, there was a transfer from the tabernacle or the temple at that time, a transfer from there to men. And of course, she brought us up to the text and then walked us through the early morning saints, of course. Peter and John gave the example, "Such as I have," and how that mercy is now lodged at that point within men. Within apostles that God had chosen.
That's right.
And that mercy, when sometimes you can't reach mercy, but God has placed mercy within his apostles, within men, and they are able to go out and say, "Such as I have, give I thee." And then, brother, I'll let you go from there, because I think that unless you want me to keep going.
Go ahead, brother.
Okay, and then she walked.
Have fun with yourself.
I will. And then so then the sister walked us up, and all this is being done in the midst of shout. It's a beautiful exegesis of what this text is.
What this text means.
So it's very important to know this is not just some arbitrary shouting and everybody getting out of their head.
Or just an emotional workup.
It's not that at all. It was a beautiful scriptural exegesis of what this text means. And I'll even go so far as to say nobody in the world could have expounded that text like we heard tonight.
That's right.
With the knowledge. So from Peter and John, from the early apostles, she went on to say that God presently has apostles, and that mercy was always intended by God to be mingled with humanity in giftings of his choosing, first apostles, secondarily prophets, and giftings of his choosing, and that we are in a position now where this scripture is fulfilled, that the tabernacle of God
has returned,
is no longer
back to the New Jerusalem.
Exactly. It's no longer where it was in the Old Testament. It's no longer where the veil of the temple was rent in twain, but in the New Jerusalem, in this time, it's actually with men. And she got more specific than that. The men, she told the men, she actually named the men that the tabernacle of God was with chiefly.
That's right.
And the sister had all the apostles. She said, would all the apostles please stand up? And so all of the brethren stood up, and she made a bold proclamation, which we 100% agree with, that the tabernacle of God is with these men, and that God's mercy is dwelling inside.
That's right.
Of those men.
Brother Steve, a lot of people will have a problem with that statement. Mm-hmm. The idea that she separated mercy from Christ and put it, what sounds like what was emphasized as being put on men. Mm-hmm. Maybe explain that for audiences that would hear and say, that's heresy. Mm-hmm. And show us how that actually what she preached has always been believed.
Exactly.
But down through time, the understanding has been lost to the degree that we're so affected.
Exactly.
That people don't believe.
Exactly. And so what happens, brother, is when we make statements or even give an exegesis or an explanation of what happened, as I just have done, a lot of people, as you said, would think it's heresy. One thing that I thought was beautiful that helped her connect the thoughts, again, it was an exegetical masterpiece.
Yes, sir.
Okay. One thing that I thought was beautiful that the sister connected was the lame man at the pool, 38 years.
Yes, brother.
She said when Jesus showed up, she called Jesus a man named Mercy.
Right, capital M.
A man named Mercy. It was
sir.
Beautiful. And she helped us to see how the divine and the human
were united
in this man.
Right.
Called Mercy, and that man also has given gifts unto men.
Yes.
And that those gifts have proceeded down through time, and that it's a normal thing to expect that men would be able to say, "Such as I have.
Give I unto thee."
Give I unto thee. And in other words,
she used the text in Acts chapter 3.
Yes.
Look on us.
Yes.
Look on us, which has been lost through the apostasy and for Church of God people through the silence, where even people who would understand possibly this text don't understand its practical application today.
Exactly.
And it's one of the things, as Brother Ray said in closing, that differentiates us from all other places of religious Ichabod. Here we have the return of the Ark of God, the return of the symbol of mercy, and as a result, the saints are rejoicing, as David rejoiced, dancing mightily before the Lord. And I say, Brother Steve, we will be more vile than thus, as the Lord continues to restore and move us through what He has given us. So you will find these messages downloaded on our website at www.churchofgod.net. You can find them in our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our channel as you have the opportunity. best thing you can do is get yourself a ticket.
Brother,
Don't walk. Don't run.
You need to hurry.
Get here as fast as you can.
hurry.
The meeting is just getting started. Our meetings always end with a crescendo because that's the nature of God.
Yes.
And if you want to see what God's doing in the end of time, you want to be here at our meeting. We're here live at our international camp meeting in West Milton, Ohio. This is the Voice of Seven Thunders, the podcast of the Church of God. Thank you for listening. Lord bless you.